What if the crown never actually says no, just quietly looks the other way? What happens when a royal born into titles and tradition is willing to serve, but the palace never picks up the phone? That's the quiet tension behind Princess Beatrice's place in today's monarchy. And while there are no press releases, no clear rejections, and no scandal on the surface, there's something telling about what hasn't happened. This is a story not about disgrace or drama, but about proximity to power and the silence that surrounds it. Welcome to Crownverse. If you're fascinated by the invisible lines between legacy and relevance, power and presence, subscribe now. Here, we examine not just the thrones but the thresholds, those who live in the margins of monarchy, and what that space really means. Princess Beatrice of York was born into royalty, not as a commoner who married in, not as an outsider pulled into ceremony, but as the daughter of a prince, the eldest daughter of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, and the fifth grandchild of Queen Elizabeth II. She grew up in palace gardens, appeared on balconies, and carried a title from birth. For all appearances, she was raised within the royal orbit. And yet, Beatrice is not, and never has been, a working royal. She has not represented the crown in an official, salaried capacity. She has never appeared in the court circular as a full-time representative of the monarchy. She attends events, yes. She supports family moments. She has stood in Westminster Abbey, but she is not dispatched in duty, not included in the institution's core machinery. For years, this arrangement made sense. The monarchy was full. Queen Elizabeth was active. Charles, William, and their spouses were front and center. Beatrice and her sister Eugenie moved more quietly, supporting charities, building their private careers, stepping forward only when called. But recently, something has shifted. Not in Beatrice herself, but in the landscape around her. With the passing of Queen Elizabeth, the streamlining of the royal family became real. King Charles is widely reported to prefer a slimmed-down monarchy, fewer working royals, fewer costs, tighter control of who carries the crown's voice. At the same time, unexpected circumstances, illness, absence, family conflict, have left gaps. Princess Kate has stepped back from public duties amid ongoing health challenges. King Charles himself has scaled back engagements. And yet no new royal workings have been added, not even those like Beatrice who were already in the wings. That absence has not been unnoticed. There's no official confirmation that Beatrice has ever asked to become a working royal, but around her, speculation has grown. Quiet reports, background comments, offhand quotes from unnamed insiders, all pointing toward a common idea: that Beatrice would welcome a larger role, that she sees herself as someone who could serve the crown, that she may have even hoped to. But if that door was ever knocked upon, it appears not to have opened. Why? There are theories, none confirmed. The most repeated is her parentage. Beatrice is Prince Andrew's daughter, and while no institution ever holds a child responsible for their parent, the monarchy operates not just on protocol, but on public perception. Prince Andrew's fall of grace is one of the most profile and damaging chapters in modern royal history. His removal from public duties, stripped of titles, and erased from the active royal structure has been near total. And Beatrice, through no fault of her own, remains visibly linked. Some believe the palace fears that elevating Beatrice could invite renewed scrutiny of her father, that the headlines would write themselves. The Yorks return. Even if she has done nothing wrong, even if she is entirely capable, her last name might be enough to keep the invitation from ever arriving. But others see a different possibility. Beatrice in many ways represents a different model from modern royalty. She has maintained a career in the private sector. She is known to be engaged with charitable and educational organizations. She has spoken publicly about personal challenges, including dyslexia, and has become a quiet advocate for learning and access. She has married, become a mother, and done so largely without scandal or spectacle. In an age where so much of royal life is either front-page news or tightly controlled, Beatrice occupies a rare middle ground. visible but private, titled but independent. And then there's her recent turn toward technology and entrepreneurship. Rather than waiting for a royal appointment, she appears to be building her own path, establishing ventures in business and innovation, lending her name to new initiatives, operating in spaces far from the palace gates. It could be a pivot, or it could be a plan B. And yet the tension remains. Why has she not been brought closer? The monarchy is, at its heart, a system built on symbolism. Every gesture matters. Who appears on the balcony? Who rides in the carriage? Who is named to represent the crown at the opening of a hospital or the dedication of a school? These are not just ceremonial. They are signals of trust, proximity, and future. Beatrice is almost never there. She is not on the balcony for trooping of color, not seated in the front rows at state banquets, not listed in the firm's inner circle. And as the monarchy continues to face pressure, calls for modernization, questions about relevance, growing workload on fewer shoulders, many ask why a capable, known, and already royal figure remains outside the circle. Maybe she does not wish to enter. Perhaps she knows the answer would be no. Or perhaps the palace has simply decided to let this story unfold quietly, without disruption or decision. But the question lingers. What does it mean to be born into the heart of royalty, only to remain at its edge? What happens to those who serve without ceremony, who attend without recognition, who carry titles that no longer open doors? And what does it say about this era of monarchy, that someone like Princess Beatrice, once seen as a future face of the crown, is now known more for her distance than her destiny? The answers are not public. The palace offers no explanations, and Beatrice herself has remained elegant in her silence, never criticizing, never demanding, never speaking of what could have been. But the image remains, a princess well-dressed, smiling, present, but always a few steps behind the firm, welcomed at family events, but not deployed by the institution, trusted perhaps, but not empowered. This is not scandal. It is something subtler. It is the story of proximity without power, of duty without title, of a royal who might have served but may never be asked. And in that silence, a deeper question emerges, not just about Beatrice, but about the monarchy itself. Who does it include, and who does it leave behind? If you've stayed with us through this quieter but no less revealing journey, thank you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Princess Beatrice still has a role to play inside the palace walls, or has that chapter closed before it began? And if you want more explorations of royal legacy, hidden roles, and the power of what goes unsaid, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us here on Crownverse, where royal history lives on.